Hello, my Diva Cup Queens. We're starting off today on a very lighthearted note. The world, as we know it, is crumbling all around us. How fresh! It's so fresh, and I love it. Did any of us see it coming? You can let me know in the comments below. Is my cat? Hey! Citrine! Alright, we're gonna start off with some skincares before I get ready to go to dinner with my friends. This era of the world that we're in, it feels so similar to when I was leaving high school and entering college, which was around 2016. That era, girl, it wasn't easy at all. I'm gonna start there. It was not easy at all. But I did learn what worked in an era that was like that, and what didn't, to survive and thrive during a crisis. Because I did both survive and thrive during that crisis, but also I learned the ways in which I could have thrived even more. And I'm not gonna make those mistakes this time. So you can listen to me talk about it, and maybe you can learn from me, from my experience, so you don't make those mistakes either. That beacon spray I just used is literally the only face mist. That's not true. It's one of the best face mists I've ever used because it has squalane in it. And it does the same exact thing that really pricey Tatcha face mist does, the dewy skin mist, but it's half the price and you get twice the product. It's incredible. I use it to prime my face, I use it to set my face, I use it to do everything. Moving on. Besides the worm being elected and being a harbinger of chaos, there are other analogies in my personal life that feel very similar to the way that the world is right now. When he was being elected last time, it felt like a reflection of what was going on in my family life, because, girl, my family life in that moment was messy. It was messy, right? And toxic and bad, right? I just put on so much of this cream, but then I use this. Wait, is this the right one? No, it's not. Back in 2016, my family life literally felt like an apocalypse. And I learned a lot from that I can share with you, because I want us all to thrive in this moment. I want us all to make it out of this insane whatever's happening right now. I want us all to make it out the other side and be safe and learn some things about ourselves in the process, which we can do. But I do not want us all to stop taking care of ourselves or stop prioritizing our well-being or make it out the other side of this political vibe and economic vibe and regret anything. Because I regret some things that I did or didn't do back when the worm was first elected, which tied to the political energy in the room at the time, but was also really tied to what my family was going through at the time, because I was in a toxic family relationship. I was in the aftermath of what felt like an apocalypse for my family, my dad dying. And I didn't do a lot of the things that I could have done because it felt overwhelming to even exist. But now that I'm out the other side and I realize what life, and I've learned some life lessons from that time, I'm telling you, we can do good for ourselves in this period. It just takes a specific type of mentality that I now have, because when you go through something like that, when you go through something like your dad dying and your mom spiraling mentally to the point where she can't take care of herself or accept help, you learn some things when you get out the other side. And I want to impart some of them to y'all in case they might help you. Because I'm getting deja vu a little bit right now, right? The only deja vu I'm not getting is, well, actually, I did just have something pretty tragic happen in my family. I was gonna say, my family life is doing really well, and it is, because my mom is doing much better than she has been, or than she was 8 years ago. But there's another tragedy in my life that's more distant from me. But I'm getting deja vu, and maybe some of y'all are too, when Trump was first elected. But this time, the whole world seems to be falling apart. We have lost, in the last 2 weeks, any sense of the notion that our government is designed to take care of us as a people, which in my experience feels very similar to the experience of losing two parents at once. What is even happening right now? Hello? So if you're feeling like what is even happening right now because maybe you are alive, then maybe some of the things I've learned from going through that really intense period of my life can help you. Alright, my loves, I have so many questions. I'm gonna get to all that in a moment, but first, y'all, I have so many questions for y'all, my love. How are we taking care of ourselves? How are you taking care of yourself? Are you doing anything that's working right now? Because I have my tips that I'm about to give, but if something is working for you, I want to know. So let me know. How are we taking care of ourselves? The majority of our social systems in this country both fail to look after our collective well-being as a necessity of their tunnel vision towards profit. How are we taking care of ourselves? Is it possible to take care of ourselves? Yes. How are you? How are we taking care of ourselves as those systems collapse under this new leadership, right? These are the questions I'm asking. How can we do that? These are the systems so many of us have grown up and become attached to. For some of us, believed in, right? I know a lot of us had that belief, unfortunately. I'll say it's a privilege to have had that belief at any point, but some of us didn't, and some of us did. Even if we never really believed that these systems were taking care of us, a lot of us probably envisioned our future in them. A lot of us probably envisioned growing up in them. And those systems were always far from perfect, and they were far from serving the good of humanity. It's true, that's the tea. They were always systems of oppression. They were always based off of oppression. But they have also been the ecosystem that our brains have developed in. Our brains are capable of change at any time, but it's not something that our brains do easily, right? Most of us know that. Most of us know from if we've tried to break a habit that's deep in our psyche, we know it's not easy to do. Because we like safety, we like consistency. Once our brains have developed ways of thinking, once our brains have their nerves or neurons, whatever, once all of those are connected, it can take some pretty extreme circumstances that require adaptation. Hello? What? Is that what we are right now? It can take some pretty extreme circumstances that literally require adaptation for our brains to even consider change. It's why people say rock bottom, whatever, means something to people. Because that rock bottom moment is the moment where your brain is like, enough is enough. This is not safe. I have to do better. But until that point, until whatever the rock bottom is, the environment that we develop in, the habits that we build, can feel extremely deeply normal, which is unfortunate in awareness of how flawed they are, of how oppressive they are. They can feel deeply normal to our brain. It's like, this is the way the world is, right? And a lot of us know that change is necessary, but this is how the world is. It feels normal. It feels like it's not a choice. And now that these systems are exposing their own insecurity, which is what they're doing, showing us all bright as day that they can be taken down in an instant by the good guys or the bad guys, whatever the good guy and the bad guy is. All of us that have built lives within them have learned to navigate through them, and even those of us still struggling to navigate through them, which is a lot of us, may be in a tricky situation. The world, hello, the world is in a tricky situation right now. It's sticky. And the people who are tearing our systems down for their benefit want us to feel overwhelmed. They don't want us to be able to even they don't even want us to be able to know or really understand the situation we're in, because it benefits them. For us, it benefits the tiny group of ultra privileged people who benefit from the end goal of these systems to uphold deeply oppressive class structures for the masses, which is literally all of us that are working daily, regardless of if you have money or not. And it benefits those ultra privileged people for us to feel overwhelmed. Because if we're overwhelmed, we can't do anything about what they're trying to do, which is steal. So how do we take care of ourselves? Oh my God.
Hi, Camera. She wants to say hi because she's super precious.
Oh my God. So how do we take care of ourselves when the ultra powerful want us to feel disheveled inside and out? How do we reclaim our individual power to maintain a sense of security when we aren't receiving external validation of the security? Is it possible to have individual power to be secure? Or does that require external community support? And is that something we can cultivate in this trying time? Questions I'm thinking about. First of all, minorities have been doing this for a very long time. It's not new. And if facing insecurity about your future as a result of political agendas is new to you, be very aware that that is a major privilege. Now, that being said, all of us deserve comfort in this space of Earth, and all of us deserve caring for ourselves. It's something that we all get to learn in this lifetime. We all get to learn how to take care of ourselves. And be very aware, if you get nothing from this video at all, except for this, in trying to make yourself feel better, the only thing you're not allowed to do is bring anybody else down. Except for, whatever, the billionaires or the whatever. You don't get to try to put yourself above anybody else. That's the one thing you're not allowed to do. That's not allowed on this channel. That's not allowed in the future of the Earth. Hello? That's not allowed in the vibe we're creating. It's not allowed in the utopia that we're imagining. It's not allowed. I don't want to see any gay men being transphobic or racist as a coping mechanism with the hate that we're facing. If you cope with being oppressed by wanting to be an oppressor, we can't be friends. We're not friends. We were never friends. We were never close to being friends. The under eye looks good. And let me start with, I don't necessarily know how to take care of myself in this climate. I am taking it day by day myself. And I think that's the first step. I think that's always the first step, is taking it day by day. I am fortunate enough that I am at a point in my self-care journey. The Juvia's Place powder. We love Juvia's Place. I'm fortunate enough in my self-care journey that I have built a good set of habits that I can rely on to where my body itself, my physical body, is cared for because of the habits that my brain is now adapted to. And I think that that is a huge foundation for making it through this next era of the world, because if our bodies don't feel good, oh my God, I'm itchy, then why are we on this earth if our bodies don't feel good? Why are we on this earth if our bodies don't feel good, when the whole point of being on this earth is to have the body? Because I could just have the spirit and be body free if the body wasn't gonna feel good, but the body's supposed to feel good. That's number one. Now, with that being said, a lot of those habits are definitely being challenged because the world is crumbling, and we can't ignore that. For example, I used to walk during my break at lunch every single day. I would walk because I had an hour lunch, and what was I gonna do on my hour lunch if not walk? There's nothing else to do. I already ate. Eating took me 15 minutes, and then I had 45 minutes and I would walk. And it was great because I got in some movement for the day and it felt good. Then a fire the size of San Francisco burned right next to my office. I live in LA, and the air might not be safe to inhale for a good period of time. So what do I do to take care of myself if I can't walk during my lunch every day? Because that was making me feel good. I'm gonna have to find a new way to do it. Maybe I can get a treadmill. Maybe I can stretch. Maybe I can bring my yoga mat to work and stretch. Maybe I can figure out ways to stretch at work that don't require a yoga mat or going outside. Maybe I can buy a respirator mask and still go on my walk. I'm taking it day by day. I don't know the answer to that question yet. And I may not know the answer to that question, but I do know that I have to find something else that I can incorporate into my routine. I have to. And the key to this period of time is to be as adaptable as possible to change. That is the number one lesson I have for you today. You have to be as adaptable as possible to change. And that is it. All right, y'all, I changed because I wasn't feeling it. I'm just going to a casual dinner. I did not need to be wearing a little lace number, but I wanted to, but whatever. So how do I take care of myself? How do I do it? What I do know, because I don't know how to take care of myself, but what I do know is that I'm gonna have to find something that works, that fits into my routine. And aside from being adaptable to change, I think we also just have to know what our body needs. And I built that connection brick by brick, y'all. I built it brick by brick. And if you've been working on it, good for you, because isn't it great? And if you haven't been working on it, then my love, now is the time to start understanding what your body needs and when, so you can get it. And I'm not talking about my body needs a new Porsche, because mine does too. What I'm talking about is my body needs water. My body needs a nap. My body needs, not wants. Because those needs are necessary. You need them. So if you don't know that you need them, and it's so easy to not know that you need them because the default in our current world is numbness, and you can't know what you need when you're numb. You just literally can't. But build that connection brick by brick first, and then you can move on with your life. Okay. Because for me, when my walking routine got cut off by these fires, I knew I was gonna need to do something else to feel good. Because without that movement, my body doesn't feel good. So I have been going to more exercise classes with air purifiers. I don't know if that's gonna be something I'm gonna do moving forward, but it's kept me sane because I haven't been able to move my body every day on my lunch break. And I was able to make that change because I know my body so well. And maybe your body needs less movement than mine. Maybe that's not something that your body really needs, but the key is to know what your body's asking for and when. That's the key. If you don't have it, the door's not gonna open. So just try to find things you can do to make your body feel good and do them. That's pretty good advice, I think. Back to my parents, y'all. I knew they were toxic as fuck. I knew they were toxic. When I was growing up, my whole life, I knew that they were toxic. Not really, but did any of us really know? But we knew, right? Deep down, we knew it was not the way that the world had to be. Which is how we were all living for our whole lives. The government is supposed to take care of us, or else it wouldn't exist. That's what we were told over and over and over again. That's what we were told over and over and over again. That's why it exists, is to take care of us. But we knew. Hey! No! I'm back. And the government was supposed to take care of us just like our parents were supposed to exist, to take care of us, right? But the government, like our parents, has not taken care of us in so many ways. So many people, people of color, indigenous people, black people, queer people, literally the list goes on and on, unfortunately. Disabled people, I could keep going. Fat people are not taken care of by the government, right? Oh, look at that. Oh, she's gorgeous. That highlighter, yes. She's Pat McGrath, of course. The Diva Queen herself. This is limited edition. You can't get it anymore. I scooped it up. Maybe on Mercari. You can find it. The government hasn't supported us like it should have for a very, very long time. But we exist in this system because it's a system we were born into, or immigrated into, or were given to by life in whatever way it came to us. And those of us in those communities who have historically been not taken care of by the government, I forgot to mention trans people, hello. Queer people, right? Regardless of how aware we really were, we knew the government was toxic, hello. And now it feels like it's all gone. Low-key overnight. Which is exactly how I felt when I lost both my parents. I lost them both basically overnight. For a moment, my mom is back and my mom's vibing now, thankfully. But I knew they weren't the best. I had known my whole life that they weren't the best. But when I lost them, when their support was and presence in my life was immediately gone, it was a big shock, right? So the quickness of losing it was incredibly difficult, even though I knew it was toxic. Even though, right? But there were good things. I think all of us have, in some ways, and I know, but even the most oppressed of us And I can't speak for those people because I am not one of the most oppressed of us. I did not win the Oppression Olympics. But even those people, in some ways, have been supported by the government at times, right? In some ways, some protection protected you from something it was supposed to. It did. And it failed you in other ways, for sure. And losing that foundation of even an increment of support so quickly, it's scary. So what got me through losing my parents? What got me through it? Honestly, y'all, what got me through it was imagination. I know. You're like, bitch, shut up. But no, I'm for real. I'm so for real. That literally got me through that era of years of my life where I was still living with my mom, but she was not there with me, and my dad was dead. What got me through that? Literally imagination. I imagined what life was gonna be when all of it was over, and that's all that I could do. When my mom was yelling at me and screaming at me so loud that the neighbors wanted to step in, when all of that was going on, I was just, what is life gonna be like after this? And I was thinking about it. I was like, I'm gonna be in college, blah. And then that imagination came true. We all have to be here right now. We can't be delusional. I know y'all love to be delusional, including me. I've been there, the Delulu girls. We can't be delusional right now. We have to be imaginative. We have to be here in the present moment so we can protect ourselves in the present moment, but we also have to be imaginative. What can come next? And that can feel delusional, but it's really just imagination. And we have to do that because worst case scenario, it doesn't come true. All right? It didn't come true in worst case scenario, which never happens. So what? Wasn't it still good in the moment to have some increment of hope? Would you, like, it's better to live a hopeful life where you're not just, if you only think negative things, I'm telling you, you're just gonna spiral down. And even in a negative situation, you have to be thinking positive things. You have to be imagining what could come next that's positive. Because something positive always comes. But it's gonna be a lot more positive, a lot better, a lot cuntier if you weren't being a negative Nancy. Because negative Nancys get stuck. And even if my imaginary utopia never comes to exist, I would much rather have gone down in the meteor with a smile on my face.
Something good's about to come.
Like that's how I would want to be remembered. In that, what is it called? With the volcano where they were all frozen and they were fucking and just, they all were just stopped in the moment in time when the lava. I would much rather be stuck in the lava with a smile on my face thinking that something good's about to come than have you seen the people who were stuck in the lava and they were crying, sobbing? Oh my god, to be remembered for all time like that. No, because the imagination of good things is a good thing in the moment regardless of wherever it leads. It's an act of resistance. It's literally an act of resistance in the present. It's not just out of fear, it's not just out of avoidance. It is possible to be present. Like I was saying, it's possible to be present in the moment and to be imaginative. And it actually mitigates harm to believe that better can come in your body. That's what I really believe. Because when better comes, you don't want to have your DNA remember the trauma. You want to be able to move past the trauma. But if you are so fixated on the belief that it's not going to get better, then when better comes, you're going to be like, what do I do now? And you're not going to know what to do. But better will always come. And there are always more good guys than bad guys. I'm telling you. Sometimes things crumble before they rise from the ashes. Sometimes they do. Hello? It's called a phoenix. Look it up. But I don't want to be faced with the double burden of being in a concerning environment and being pessimistic about it. No. I imagined the F out of my life. I had no clue when I was going to be out of that house. It was miserable. It was literally miserable. I was getting screamed at. I was getting scapegoated. I was getting torn to shreds by the one parent I had left. Multiple adults around me were considering bringing me to a safer place, right? It was rough. I had no clue when it was going to end. But I imagined that it was going to. And I knew that there was going to be better. And I did that, had that knowledge, as an act of resistance. Because otherwise I would have just been crying in a corner, sobbing, not applying to colleges, which would eventually be my savior. But I refused to let that circumstance rob me of the joy of believing in brighter days. Even when brighter days literally felt like a miracle like that they talk about in movies. But miracles happen, y'all. Miracles happen. First of all, they happen every single day. Your body is a miracle. period. Every cell in your body is a miracle unto itself. Second of all, large-scale miracles happen in lives. They happen in ecosystems. They happen in countries. They happen in communities. All the time. You've seen those people who worked for so long and then some TV show comes and remodels their house and they're like, miracle. Those things happen. It was a miracle I moved out of my parents' house, y'all. It was a miracle. Especially that I moved out when I did. And benevolence, good things can happen, can manifest at any time. And at any time. It could happen a second from now. Randomly. A meteor could crash into some people. Right? Specifically. Nobody knows if it will. Except I do, and it will. Hello? And I'm psychic, so you can do with that what you will. But even if you don't believe me, just allow yourself to do it. Think about what it would be like if we were all safe in this world. Think about what it would be like. Oh my God, wouldn't that be great? Think about what that would be like. We would not be free from harm if we all tried to keep each other safe, but we would band together in community as a planet to mend the world, to mend wounds, to heal each other. Think about it. What would that look like for you? If community banded around you to help you heal. I want you to imagine, what would your sim do in this environment to take care of yourself? Be so aggressively intentional about it. Literally force it. I'm giving you permission. Force whatever your sim would do to take care of themselves. Force it. Don't let those things fall from your grasp. Literally cling onto them. When I tell you I carry my air purifier with me everywhere I go after these fires, I carry it everywhere I go. I lug it to and from work. I wear my N95 mask everywhere I go. Regardless of who looks at me, regardless of who judges me for the turbo speed my purifier is running at, I will not abandon the things that make me feel safe. In this moment where things are falling around me, I will not abandon those things, and you will not abandon them either, because they are exactly what you need to make it through. I'm looking at you. You will not look back on these years. I will not look back on these years. And remember, my body and my life is too precious to look back and regret at this time. I will not look back and remember someone who let their experience of joy be taken away from them. Joy is literally the fundamental of life, okay? We all deserve joy at every period of our life. That is just the tea. And I'm gonna look back on this time and remember that I forced myself to spend time with friends. Even when I didn't want to, but I really did. Obviously, with discretion. I'm gonna look back and remember that I forced myself to learn new things. Forced. Because really it's just starting that's hard. And then you start and then it feels good. But I'm gonna look back and remember that I forced myself to move forward in my career. And by force, I really just mean refuse to accept anything else other than. And in my career, I'm gonna do that even though it feels incredibly uncertain if careers will even exist in the future. But I'm still gonna do it. I'm gonna remember when I look back on this time that I showed up for my community, that I forced myself to show up to my community, even when it was uncomfortable for me, even when I didn't necessarily want to. Because volunteering to relief efforts and to organizational movements that are doing good things even when I feel demotivated is important to me, and that's something that I want to do throughout my life. So I'm gonna look back on this time and remember that I did that, and I'm gonna remember how good it feels, and I'm gonna remember how good it feels to do that. You always feel good when you do good for other people, and it's okay that that's something that I want. I'm gonna remember those things. I'm not gonna remember regret. I refuse to regret anything at this time. I want all of us to look back on this era and to be proud of having done tiny little things that bring us closer to our own bodies, closer to peace, closer to serenity. And I want all of those tiny little things that we do to add up to, just to make us better people and to allow us to show up better for our people. I'm definitely not expecting it to be easy, but what I am saying is I won't let myself go, all right? And I'm telling you, check in with your friends regularly. Make sure that they're taking care of themselves. I do not want to see anybody hanging out with their friends and not making sure that they're taking care of themselves. Ask your friends if they're eating. Ask them if they're eating. Ask them if they're exercising. Ask them if they feel okay. Ask them if they're not feeling like themselves. That's your duty as a friend. It's literally your duty. We're all facing massive societal changes, and most of us aren't gonna feel completely 1000%. It's just a T. But the worst thing ever would be to let that stop us from connecting with our friends and connecting with our families. That would be the worst thing. The worst thing is if it stopped us from connecting with our friends and with our families. It would be the worst. We can't disconnect from each other. It is imperative right now. It's literally the most important thing, is to stay connected to each other. It's the only thing that's gonna get us through. Respond to everybody's story on social media, even if you barely know them. Just do it. Why not? If the world's all gonna end, why not? Wouldn't that be fun? If everybody was just saying, hey, you're funny. All those people you think are funny that you never respond to because you don't know them. Tell them they're funny, whatever. Maybe I'm the only person who doesn't do that. But say something to your friends if you need to see them. Say something to them. Let them know if you need help with food. Let them help you. Let them know if you need something. Don't let yourself be alone. That's one tip. It's my number one tip. And if you're feeling like a negative Nancy, honestly, that's so valid. But don't talk to me about it. I'm being so for real. Don't talk to me about it. And I don't think any of my friends would. But I think I need us all to get a little inspired right now. Because next, we do not know what comes next. Yay. Thank God. Because some of y'all think you do. And you think it's the worst case scenario. And I want your microphone muted on the Zoom call. Mute. You don't know what you're talking about. You sound like that. You just sound crazy. Next. Cut it out. Love you. Bye.